Hey guys, welcome back to Ashley's Homestead Adventures. We are in the farm kitchen, starting out in the farm kitchen today. I need to start a loaf of my honey wheat discard bread, and then I have a ton of eggs to wash, and that is not what I collected today. I have a whole nother bucket of what I collected today. Exciting little thing. I got a fairy egg today. These little tiny eggs are called fairy eggs or fart eggs, or my very favorite, fart nuggets. And they are, in comparison to a regular egg, they are very, very small, and it's not really any cause for concern. They're basically, young hens will do it. Older hens will do it. Older hens, if they have, like a reproductive issue. Younger hens, they're just kind of they're working out the kinks. They're trying to figure out how to lay eggs, and basically that is just a egg that was formed. The shell was formed before the yolk was shed from the oviduct, and so it just is an egg white inside of that egg. Most usually, we can crack it open and see, because obviously I'm not gonna sell it or consume it. It's just teeny tiny, but so that was kind of an exciting thing that happened today. But let's get my hands washed and get this loaf of bread started. Let's get into it. Here is the recipe for the bread that we're working on today.
And for those that are wondering, the background noise here is Smoofy, my robot vacuum, doing his job cleaning up the dog hair in my house.
This is my discard from my sourdough starter cheeky, and we need 100 grams of this. Oh, that's a lot more than 100. 400 grams of whole wheat flour. Grams of bread flour. Mix that up for 30 seconds. I'm gonna plug it in first. That is what she looks like. Just a shaggy dough. Now we'll cover her up and let her rest for 30 minutes. Okay, I also want to make cookies. So I am going to add 113 grams, which is a stick of butter is 113 grams, or a half a cup. A half a cup of white sugar, a quarter of a cup of brown sugar, mix that for probably a couple minutes until it's nice and creamy and smooth. egg. I always just crack my egg in a separate bowl than my mixture, so if for whatever reason, if the egg is bad or if it's got a drop of blood in it or whatever the case may be, it doesn't ruin my whole batch. And a teaspoon of vanilla. This is a half a teaspoon, so I'm going to do 2. Okay. Now we're going to add in 2 cups of flour. And this is a 1/4 cup, so we'll add 8 of these. A half a teaspoon of baking soda and a half a teaspoon of salt. Making a mess. Lord. I usually use a deeper bowl than this. Holy moly. That's okay. What's fun in the kitchen without a little bit of a mess? Now we'll add 1 cup of chocolate chips. Okay. Now cookie sheet. Parchment paper, and this recipe should make 9 to 12 large balls. I try to make 12 just because, you know, a dozen's just a good number. I think it's too sticky. So on my hands here, go back. Just to form some better balls. Again. It's okay. Now you can add your flour, you know, put all your cookies back in when you see that it's too sticky. Add your flour and remix it. You can also be a baking rebel like me and just sprinkle a little flour in there. These cookies are going to go into the refrigerator 2 hours to firm up, and I promise you, you are not going to be able to tell the difference of whether or not you sprinkled the flour in and mixed it or just was a complete baking ribble, like me. They are. And they look good. They're gonna go in the fridge for 2 hours. Okay, in the meantime, our loaf is, bread is ready to add some of the other ingredients to it, or the rest of the ingredients to it rather. So we are going to add 10 grams of salt, 20 grams of sugar, of honey, as close as you can. I find I almost always go over. Grams of butter. Seven grams of yeast. And we'll put it back in the mixer, lock it, mix for 6 minutes. All right, 6 minutes later, this is what we look like. And we are ready to unlock it. Go. There she is now. We'll come back in an hour. That is a lot of eggs to wash. A massive egg. Look at that egg compared to the fairy egg. Speaking of the fairy egg, let's crack it open. See what is in it. They say that they're just, yep, all white. No yolk. Just whites. And there they all are, all washed up and ready to be packaged. 134 of them. Okay, now we need to shape this bread, my hour timer just went off, and so we're going to shape this bread into a loaf and put it in a bread pan, and then let it rise for another hour. There it is now. And there it is, shaped and put into the bread pan, and we'll just cover that up and let it rise for another hour. The alarm for the cookies just went off. They have been in the fridge for 2 hours, so we're going to preheat the oven to 350. Okay, the oven is preheated. I am going to add a sheet of parchment paper to, this is the second cookie sheet now. Get our cookies out. I'll move this over here. And now I just want to give these cookies more space, basically. So I'm going to take the whole middle row. And then these, space these better. There. All right, they're going to go in for 16, I'll check them at 16 minutes. Sometimes it takes 17 minutes. They're going in cold.
16 minutes later.
Check our temp. Looks like they're going to be perfect. Need them to be 165, and they are 196, so they are done. Pull them out, and we're going to put the honey wheat loaf right in. There they are. Yummy. Okay, 40 minutes later. Ooh, she looks pretty. Dang. Look at that. Never ceases to amaze me. Every time a loaf comes out, I think, holy crap, I did that. That right there is a pretty wheat sandwich loaf. That is going to make good sandwiches for somebody. And yes, you do see a bit of a sweat going on here. I am out working in the garden. I've been kind of just going out there trying to get the garden cleaned up. So the garden will be looking quite different in our next videos. But I appreciate you guys coming along with me for cookies and bread today, and eggs, of course, eggs. I hope you had a great day. I'll catch you on the next one. Yours truly.